Hey, co-creators, you're listening to the Life by Design podcast, where we're talking about going from default living to intentional living, taking a closer look at the way you approach life so that you can establish a life that you love to live. My name is Natalie Vrill, and I'm thrilled to be part of your journey to a more fulfilling life. Welcome to episode number 4. Today's topic is intentional living. So my definition of intentional living is having a plan, an aim, so a thought behind the actions that you take. So rather than just jumping straight into action, taking a step back and allowing yourself to reflect on if this activity is actually adding value in your life, and if so, engage. But if it doesn't, can you disengage? So why is it important to be intentional with your living? Well, it allows you to be more focused on what's actually important in your life and what brings satisfaction to you. So anything that brings you joy, that brings you fulfillment, are things that might be important for you. And I believe that our purpose in life is to have a joyful journey. So I believe that joy is the purpose for why we're here. Because when you are joyful, when you feel good, you get access to higher thinking, so you don't take things so personal. You can get more creative in the way that you're solving solutions, and you're able to go beyond what was there before. And when you are joyful, you're also more fun to be with. You're also more fun for yourself to be. So being joyful in the journey, I believe, is the purpose of life. So, being intentional in the way you're living, meaning finding what brings joy to you. And your definition of what joy is in this moment continue to evolve and can be different from moment to moment. Same thing with which areas that are important to you right now. That's also something that continue to evolve, meaning something that was important for you 10 years ago might not be important for you today. So understanding that life is an organic thing that just constantly grows and evolves. There is nothing that is static, fixed. It just evolves. So allow yourself to be flexible and continue to check in about what feels good for you, what you like and what you don't like. The way that I see life in general is kind of like a piece of clay, and you continue to mold this clay. The life experience that you go through is a way of collecting data in terms of what you like and in terms of what you don't like. To go through life, all the varieties and diversity in life help you to define your own personal preferences. And you have the freedom to choose what feels good for you. So knowing that the purpose of life, in my belief, is joy, and the foundation of life is freedom. And then the result of living life is expansion. Every time you identify another piece of information in terms of what you prefer, you're molding that piece of clay. So your preferences become more and more clear as you go through life. Say, for example, in the beginning, maybe you're asking for a partner, and then you get a partner, and then you're realizing that, oh, okay, I wanted to have a partner who I can have a deep conversation with, or I would like to have a partner that have more similar core values than I do. So as you go through life, you become better and better in your asking, and you identify more clearly what it is that you prefer. So it gets easier for you to say a firm yes, and then it gets easier for you to say a firm no. You become a better sifter and sorter through the different life experiences, so you quicker can come to a decision what feels good for you. And in terms of life and being intentional, I also wanted to touch base on where we give our attention to, because at the end of the day, we only have so many attention units. Let's say that you're starting your day and you have 100 units when you wake up, and then for each activity that you engage in, 1 unit is being removed from those 100 units. So as you reach for your phone and you scroll through social media, 1 of those units are being used up. Same thing when you're answering your WhatsApp messengers, or checking emails, or checking the news, or remembering an unsettled situation from yesterday. So every single thing that you're giving your attention to is requiring one of those attention units. So maybe before you even had breakfast, maybe you're below 90% of your units already and the day have just started. Anyway, no time to think about that. Work is calling, so now you're heading out to ensure that you're catching the train. And the train is delayed. And the irritation of the train delay is another unit. So you're back checking email, back to life. Maybe you listen to a podcast about how to be more mindful, another attention unit there. And as you're reaching the office and heading straight into your first meeting, maybe you're down at 73% now. And then finally it's time for lunch, and your attention units at this time might be at 50. You're telling your colleagues about how your weekend were in the mountains, remembering the beautiful vista and how you wish to be there. And then maybe someone is asking you about the project that you were working on and checking in and see if it's still on schedule. So you swap your focus, you give that your attention, and then you're trying to remember what you did last week and you confirm that everything is on schedule. And now you're contemplating for a moment if that was actually true, or if you will need to stay late this week in order to catch up. You go back to your desk, you get things moving on the project, and then all of a sudden, an email keeps on coming, your phone keeps vibrating, news updates, messages, likes, and all of them are pulling your attention. You decide to put your phone away, and you start scanning through what you did last week, and finally have a moment to focus on what's important to you to move this project forward. And in that moment, you feel someone having a hand on your shoulder asking you if you have a minute, asking for your input on whatever it is that they are working on. And instead of a minute, you end up spending 30 minutes going over your suggestions. Alrighty, you're back at your project, and now you realize that it's already 4 o'clock and you're wondering why you're tired, and you realize you haven't had your coffee yet. So you head over to your machine and then coming back to your desk, and while sipping at your coffee, you go back to check your emails again. And then you leave work feeling that it's been a very busy day, you're tired, and your attention units is left to below 10%. And the only thing that you want to do right now is to eat, relax, and be in front of Netflix. If this one sounds familiar to you, it's very much how majority of people live their life by default, rather than setting a plan or having an intention and aim behind the day and how they want to go through it, where they want to invest their energy. They're just going through it by default, letting other people dictate where they put their time and energy. And your inbox is just other people's agenda for your time. So a lot of people, whenever they realize that they have been poor in terms of their time management, making their urgency your urgency. But someone else's urgency is not your urgency until you make it so. So it's super important to be clear in terms of what is important in your life, not just what's urgent, but what's important long term, and investing your time there instead of just constantly living in the urgent bubble, in the illusion to do all the small things rather than moving the big projects forward, because otherwise you will end up feeling unfulfilled, frustrated, irritated, and resentment towards other people. You only have so many attention units per day, and in order to move what's important for you forward, you need to make sure that you have your priorities set straight. And having a well-defined yes list of the activity that you value. So what is a yes list? A yes list is all the things that you would like to intentionally say yes to. And here can be yourself and others, but things that are important to you. So anything that align with your values, with whatever it is that you're striving towards, your goals, should be on your yes list. And this is really whenever you're either budgeting in terms of money, or budgeting in terms of energy, or budgeting in terms of time, you have a yes list. So things that are important for you to move forward on whatever it is that you are working on. So be considerate in terms of how much time and energy that you invest in different projects and what the return on investment is. And this can obviously be both in terms of a physical result, but also in terms of a feeling, a good feeling. So be cautious in terms of how much energy you will need to invest in yourself and the projects that are important to you in order to feel energized, fulfilled, and at peace with yourself. after that, knowing how much energy and time will I be able to invest in others, in helping them moving forward with their project, if that is something that feels important to you. So sometimes we do prioritize being of service to others more than what we prioritize being of service to ourselves. I strongly believe that joy is me and you. It's not me on top of you or you on top of me, but it's me and you. So it's important to understand that in order for me to help you, I first need to help myself so that I have something to give. And it's kind of like a car. If I don't fill up the gas tank of the car will stop running at one point, and then it will not be of service for anyone. So it's super important to understand that in order for me to feel motivated and inspired to help you with your project, I first need to help myself with my project. So just checking in, is your priorities straight in terms of, are you on top of your own priority list? And if not, why? Because if we are not taking responsibility to fulfill our own importantness in terms of what is on our yes list, then we build up resentment, we feel taken advantage of, we are feeling deflated because we're using up our gas. And remembering, the car will stop unless you refuel it. So Life by Design is intentional living, is becoming more aware of where you put your focus, where your energy is going, and where you're allocating your time. And checking in if this is where you would like to continue to distribute your resources moving forward, or if there is another way that might feel better to you. And I invite you to utilize that inner guiding system, your emotions, as your GPS, to let you know in terms of what is the right activity to engage in. And it's always, if it feels right, if it feels good, engage. If it doesn't spark joy, disengage. And I also invite you to play it all out. So rather than just checking in if you feel like doing it or not, say for example that I want to get a better body, but I don't feel for working out, play it all out. Like, how would I feel after the workout? Would I feel proud over myself? Would I feel accomplished? So rather than just taking the instant gratification of, I'll skip it, checking in, how would I feel if I play it all out? So super important to play it all out in order to know how it will feel in your body. So a few different questions that is good to ask yourself on a daily basis. First and foremost, you want to ask yourself, what are things that are important to me that I would like to make progress on? So these things are your yes list. What are the things that you would like to put on your yes list? Maybe it's 2 big projects at work, a few outstanding smaller tasks. Private things might be to wish someone a happy birthday, maybe unpack from previous weekend trip away, groceries, laundry, exercise, booking a table for your next dinner out, whatever it can be. So checking in, what is my yes list? What are the things that I would like to make progress on? Second thing, what's needed from me in order to give that my first priority? So making a plan and then schedule time to create the result that you would like to achieve in your calendar. So carving out time for what's important. So first and foremost, maybe you start with those 2 big projects at work. You break them down into smaller, more achievable steps and identify which step you will be able to complete this week. And then who you would like to work with, if there is anyone that can help you, what are needed from your end in order to get that ball rolling. Do you need to email them some information? Do you need to let them know when the deadline is in terms of getting back to you? Maybe you need to set up a meeting to ensure that they are on track before the deadline. So just notifying them with the clear instructions. Once you have carved out the time for what's important for those bigger tasks, then move over to the smaller one. And here, schedule the time for the result that you would like to achieve in each time slot, rather than just booking, say, for example, a PowerPoint presentation. So rather than saying PowerPoint presentation in your calendar, say creating the PowerPoint presentation, finalizing it, going over it again, whatever it is, right? So whatever is the result in each of those steps that you would like to achieve. So as clear as possible in terms of the planning ahead of time. So when it comes to execution, you know exactly what's expected from yourself during that time. And then moving over to the private items and schedule each one of them in your calendar as well to make sure that you are prioritizing what's important to you and get everything done that you would like to achieve this week. And then you will have a clear picture in terms of how much time you will have left in order to say yes to someone else's project. And this provides both you and them clarity so that you don't need to feel any resentment or any irritation, feeling like you're taking away from valuable time for yourself and give to others. You know exactly that everything that you would like to get done this week is already in the calendar and that you have time to help. And you will also be able to say, right now, I'm working on this. However, at 3 o'clock, I will be able to help you for 20 minutes if that can be helpful for you. And then they can take a decision either to say yes to that or to find someone else who will be able to help them. Next question is, how would I like to show up for myself and for others? So finding the feeling that you would like to fuel your actions with. Remember, it's always a feeling that is fueling our action. So maybe you would like to feel interested. Then the next question is, what would you need to focus on in order to bring out that version of you and to find the feeling of being interested? So identifying different statements that creates this feeling. For example, I enjoy learning and expanding. I feel like I'm contributing. I'm curious to see how this one turns out. And you want to find existing matches to the feeling that is present in your life right now. So any areas in your life that evokes a feeling of interest, bring those out. So the summary of today's podcast is that there are only so many things that we can give our attention to. And in order to feel that we are living a fulfilled life and being at peace within ourselves, it's important that you prioritize what feels good and what is important to you first. And that you're living a life that is true to your own values. And that you're realizing that the receiving is really in the giving. So anytime that you feel like you're giving too much or feeling imbalance, which is the reason why we feel resentment or irritation, take a step back and then just be honest with yourself. Were you actually forced to give, or did you have a choice? So did you choose to engage in this activity? Did you do it because you really wanted to do it, or did you do it because you wanted to please someone else? Either way, it's always your choice. So just recognizing that it's your choice. Whenever we are doing it out of obligation or out of pleasing someone, that is when we have a hidden price tag on the help that you're providing. So just being honest with yourself with the cost of your service. If you have a cost of your service, then be honest with that upfront before you engage. Because otherwise it's super easy that you're building up resentment down the line if you are expected to get something out of the help. Again, a recognition, a thank you, whatever it can be, and you're not getting it. So just be honest upfront if your help has a price tag, especially towards yourself. And then remember that we actually do everything for a selfish reason, because the only perspective that we have is the perspective of self. And even taking care of someone else is a selfish act, because we either do it because we love to take care of others, so we do it because it makes us feel good. And if this is the case, then you have actually cracked the code, because then you understand that the receiving is in the giving. The receiving is the good feeling that you get from giving, from living true to your own values. But if you're doing it because you want something from the other person, you want them to validate you, you want them to like you, you want them to love you, you want them to appreciate you, and when they don't, that is when resentment kicks in. So you have been giving out of obligation instead of out of joy, meaning you are expected something in return, and you haven't understood that the receiving is in the giving. The receiving, what I am receiving from my giving, is the good feeling inside of me. That is the key to understand. The receiving is in the giving, hence the circle is complete. As soon as I have given you my time, my help, I have already received in exactly the same as I gave by feeling good, by feeling proud over whatever I did. This circle has been completed. The receiving is in the giving. And there is no right and wrong in terms of actions. There is only a right way in terms of how it feels in performing the action. And life is supposed to feel good. The purpose of life is joy, having a joyful ride. Study yourself, do your best to identify which activities and relationship that brings value to you, that sparks joy, and do more of that. And identify what activities and relationships that drains your energy and do less of that. Intentional living is having a thought behind the situation that you're engaging in and realizing that you always have a choice. So instead of just unconsciously jumping straight into action without contemplating if this actually brings you closer or further away from where you would like to go, just checking in with yourself and see, is this helping me or is this preventing me from creating the result that I want? And realizing that you have a choice. And this is your choice, what you engage in. And if you are not intentional with where you invest your time and energy in, life will pull you in all kinds of random direction because people will make sure that you help them to move forward on what's important to them. We're all responsible to advocate for self. So the question is, are you doing it deliberately or are you doing it by default? And even if you make no choice, that's also a choice. To just let life carry you wherever it takes you, and then it's very likely that you're falling behind on your dreams and desires, which never feels really good. So each morning, I invite you to ask yourself, what would I like to complete today? What's required for me to make that happen? And what would I need to say yes to in order to make it happen? And as you engage in different activities throughout the day, take a step back before engaging and just ask yourself, is this activity adding value? And if so, engage. If not, disengage. Being more intentional basically means to be more clear about your yes list. So all the things that are important to you to say yes to, knowing the order of the things on your list so that you know which one to prioritize first and which one to take on next. Next week, we're speaking about creating awareness around where you are so that you know where to start from, how to be honest with yourself when you take stock of your life without judgment. So having compassion there, meet yourself where you are, and what your current situation indicates and what role it plays moving forward during your journey. If you're interested in creating a more intentional way of living, I have a 90-day program where I coach clients one-on-one, helping them to see where their choices lies in the way of interpreting reality, not changing reality. But when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. So important to realize where your choice lies in your life. We cannot always change our life situation, so basically what's going on in your life right now, but we can always choose how we feel about our life situation. And your choices are to feel a little bit worse or to feel a little bit better. And understanding that the way you feel now is a precursor to what's coming next. And if you continue to feel a little bit worse, then you're just creating more of the problem, versus if you're intentionally feeling a bit better, then you're closer towards the solution. So understanding where your choice lie in terms of either feeling a bit worse or feeling a bit better, and that now is a precursor for what's coming next. You can find more information at lifebydesign.ch or follow me on IG, lifebydesign_Zurich. Until next week, take a step back, reflect on what's important to you, creating that yes list, and then ask yourself in the morning, what would you like to achieve today? And what would you need to say yes to in order to make that happen? Life is more fun when you're making active choices around what you would like to create, and you came forth as a creator And when you're deliberately creating what you want, that is when life is at its best. Enjoy your week and speak to you soon.